Sitting on the top now. No, nothing can move you.
Well, good day, good day. Welcome to another episode of the Bobby Brown Show. I'm your host, Robert Bob TV. I'm Bobby Brown. And it is late. I don't expect nobody to be up here, but the reason I'm doing this live now is because I don't have that much space on my drive to do some editing and whatever. So I'm pop it up anyway. I don't expect anybody to be up this late. But nevertheless, like Rick James told Charlie Murphy, it's a celebration. It's a celebration. Yeah, Juneteenth, supposed to be the official day of freedom because they said we were free, but we didn't officially become free in Texas until this particular day. And recently we got some great news. Let me bring myself up. Recently we got some excited news. My sister made me this Juneteenth shirt. 3 years since 85. Still not free in a whole lot of other areas, but that's besides the point. Yet you don't want us teaching your kids what you believe is critical race theory, so-called teaching that's very rarely being taught in school. And if it's being taught in school, then it's not sanctioned by the Department of Education. That's why I said anybody who say that they're teaching this in school, then you got to prove to me that they're teaching this, number one. Because just saying it. See, understand, folks, these people these people are having people like Trump that was willing to make this a federal ban, the ban teaching race in racism, past, present, and possibly in the future if we don't get a hold of things. And his minions, such as Ron DeSantis, actually passed a state law against something that's not even been taught in Florida. Now, this is about Juneteenth, but this has a lot to do with Juneteenth because it's a lot of things in history that they don't want people to know about, that they hid under the rug, and now people are finding out about it. They're trying to do whatever they can to pass legislation to hide this stuff from the rug because they don't want you to see how ugly this country has been in the past, currently is ugly present, and possibly in the future. And it doesn't mean that your child is a white supremacist or your daddy or your auntie or your cousin is a white supremacist. Don't mean that at all. It just means that if we don't learn from our past, we're destined to repeat in the future. Therefore, learning what happened in the past is inevitable. Now, in the past, we didn't get our true freedom till June 17th. Yet recently in the Senate, they decided to pass a bill. Let's take a look at that. All right, before I get into anything, let me pop this up real quick because you know I got to do this. Fair use, mofos, fair use. We're going to get into this. So the Senate passed a bill making Juneteenth a federal holiday. Now, black people, should we be dancing in the streets like we the Staple Sisters or whoever sung that song? Should we be dancing on the ceiling like we're Lionel Richie? Is this a time to celebrate because they passed a bill making Juneteenth a federal holiday? Of course, Chuck Schumer, you know, I take the H out his name. Up here in New York, don't do much for black people, never did. Don't have a track record of doing nothing for black people, never did. But because he's running for re-election and he need to get re-elected, he figured I'll push this bill forward because I need some black juice. Because you ain't got no black juice, your chance of losing an election is high, very high. because black people right now still have the juice when it comes to putting people in office. People, some of them don't even deserve it. Well, let's go into this. I'm not going to go into the video. The House passed legislation Wednesday that would establish June 19th as Juneteenth National Independence Day. So black slaves, American descendants of slaves, native-born black Americans. I say that because we were immigrants. We're not immigrants. People say America is a nation of immigrants. We're not immigrants. The people who brought us in chains, they're immigrants. The people who came from Italy, Spain, whatever, into this country, you're immigrants. We're not immigrants. So they're going to make this a federal holiday, meaning you should be able to get that day off, and should mean you should be able to get paid for that day. Whoop-de-doo. Let's say you got that day off and you got paid. Whoop-de-doo. This is commemorating the end of slavery in the United States, sending the bill to President Joe Biden's desk for his signature. Now, it went through the Congress. It went through the House, of course. The bill passed the House 415-14. Most of the 14s are Republicans. Of course, they're going to name drop the Republicans. It's CNN. The 14 Republicans to vote against the bill were Representative Thomas Massey of Kentucky, of course. Mo Brooks of Alabama. Look here, Mo. Massey, Mo, Kentucky, Alabama. Scott DeHarias in Tennessee. Andy Biggs in Arizona. Tom Tiffany of Wisconsin. Doug LaMaffa of California. LaMaffa, California. Tom McClintock, California. Mike Rogers of Alabama. Matt Rosendale of Montana. Ron Jackson of Texas. Ooh, doggy. Ralph Norman of South Carolina. Andrew Clyde of Georgia. Chip Roy of Texas. And Paul Gosar of Arizona. The usual culprit. Down South Republican. Pretty much biggest stronghold states. Why would you vote against this? You probably voted for the Asian bill, and I'm gonna go check. You're gonna vote for the Asian bill. Like I said, look, Asians moved on some legislation and got things done. And there's various factors in that, and I'm not hating on them. I'm just upset that all these years you've been tormenting us, and you still try to make every excuse in the book not to pass a bill to protect us. That's not an all-encompassing bill. Our bills are all-encompassing usually, which means we're not asking that you protect black people from hate, but we ask you to protect all people from hate. The legislation was previously blocked by conservative Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. That's his name even rhymes. Who are you? Oh, my name is Ron Johnson. You can call me Ronnie Johnson. Where you from? Oh, I'm Ronnie Johnson from Wisconsin. And that rhymes. But he dropped his objection this week, despite his concerns, allowing the bill to advance out of the chamber. What concern you have? What freaking concern you have about former descendants of slaves getting a holiday? House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, and that's just exactly what he is, announced that the House would vote Wednesday in a tweet where he thanked the bill bipartisan sponsors, which include Democratic Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas, Republican Senator John Cornyn of Texas, and Democratic Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts. So you got Republicans and Democrats that came together to push this. But yet, Sheila Jackson Lee is the same person who's talking, we need to study reparations before we get reparations. Now, I'm going to get to that in a moment. I look forward to bringing this bill to the floor and urge bipartisan support, Hoyer wrote. No, you look forward to try to placate toward the black community to make sure we get out and make sure you keep the House and Senate. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to appease us. You're trying to cater toward us by giving us a freaking holiday that ain't going to do anything to change the wealth gap between blacks and white. That's not going to change policing and police overreach and police brutality and murder by police. A holiday ain't going to do that. What I see here today is a racial divide crumbling. That's mighty fine for somebody who don't experience much racism to say. Lady gonna tell me, isn't white privilege that critical race theory? Man, let's not go there. I mean, come on, it's obvious. There's some things you can get a little, you get a little more easy than we do. I walked by a white person car. They locked the door. You, on the other hand, unless you look thugged out, unless you look like you're goth, unless you look got pointy hair or whatever, ain't nobody locking your door. I can wear a suit and a briefcase and stand on the corner here in New York and they'll lock the door. Anyway, let me keep going. Ahead of the vote, Markey acknowledged that Biden is still overseas on his first international trip, but told reporters we will be communicating with the White House about getting this legislation signed as soon as possible. The legislation has gained momentum after the Black Lives Matter protests sparked by the police killing of George Floyd last year and the Democratic takeover of the White House in Congress. On June 19th, 1865, Major General Gordon Granger announced in Galveston, Texas, the end of slavery in accordance with President Abraham Lincoln in 1863 Emancipation Proclamation. In other words, because they needed that free labor, they just told Lincoln to kiss his bearded behind, we ain't letting nobody out of slavery. How you going to continue to hold people hostage? And you know, a lot of black people didn't even know they're free because nobody was willing to tell them. They weren't allowed to read the newspaper. It wasn't allowed to deal with telecommunications back then. Heck, a lot of them couldn't even talk on the plantation. They did not want you communicating because communication can lead to congregation, and congregation can lead to a revolt. In 1980, Juneteenth became a Texas state holiday. Well, thank you, Texas. In the decades since, every state but South Dakota came to officially commemorate Juneteenth. New York don't talk about Juneteenth. It's not a holiday. They have all kind of holidays for Jewish people. They have all kind of holidays for Polish people, Italians. But they don't have too many holidays. But only a handful of states observe it as a paid holiday. New York is not one of them. Go to another article. This is why I am not excited about a Juneteenth freaking holiday. Not excited about at all. Look at this lame excuse of an article. Hundreds of black Americans was killed during Red Summer, a century later, still ignored. So there was a whole year, critical race theorist haters that don't want their child to know about this. They're afraid it teaches hatred. How it teaches hatred? How it teaches hatred. Oh, you assume because we know about the things that you did to us that we're going to act out our hatred. Yeah, we're pissed off. Yeah, we're mad. Yeah, we're angry. Yes, we're frustrated. But we ain't trying to attack nobody over that stuff. We ask that you learn true history and repent and pay repercussion, better known as reparations. A century later, still ignored. It took Donald Trump to make an attempt to go to Oklahoma last year, saying I'm going to start my rallies up, and they invoked the Tulsa race massacre, Holocaust, to mock and shame him, saying that he's coming there to bring hate, but it was okay for Joe Biden because he's not coming there to bring hate. We don't know what it was there for. We just assume. Yet nobody talked about it. Not even President Barack Obama. Half black, half white man. He's all black. Half black, half white man. Now tell me I'm not lying. Tell me I'm lying. "1919 was extremely violent for Black America." Buddy, that was way in 1919. That ain't today. Man, please. These guys ain't gotta just come out and do nothing, but these people still hunting, we had to take up arms. We had to try to protect ourselves. That's why they don't want black men to have guns. That's why they always monitoring black gun clubs. That's the reason why they labeled the Black Panther a terrorist group and a vicious group that need to be torn down because they had guns and they knew their gun rights and they decided to protect their neighborhoods because of stuff like this. And you think Juneteenth is going to be repercussion, making it a holiday, that it's going to make everything all right? No, because we're still being murdered in the streets. We're still being dominated and abused on the streets. You guys abuse your own people. Well, what are you saying? White people abuse the white people too in their neighborhood. Like I said before, whatever crimes that's in majority in your neighborhood is 9 times 10 done by the people majority in your neighborhood. Let me come off this, and I'm almost done. Juneteenth. Glad it's a holiday. Whoop-de-freaky-doo. We got another holiday. We got Martin Luther King Day that, I had to fight my union to get Martin Luther King's Day. They wanted to give us this racist, bigoted company, GCS. How do you know they're racist? You got to have work there to know. 90% of people black. They don't try to help them with anything. They talked about building a community. The GCS in South North Carolina was community based. They did community stuff because most of them was white. But when they took over the contract in New York, majority of black people, hard. You missed the train too many times and it's the train fault, they're going to fire you. They're not going to give you your job back. I can go on and on and on and on. Bigot as they come. Now, my main point is this. A holiday does not make up for 400 years plus slaughter, abuse, abandonment, feeding us to dogs, feeding us to hogs. If we had a defect or a deformed baby, They fed that child to alligators or whatever that was willing to eat the baby, to humiliate and defame us and shame us. We had vicious men, mostly men. Now the women were just, some of the women were just as bad. They wasn't on our side. We were property to them too. Rape the men in front of the wife and the kids. Bound and gag them and make them watch. Turn around and rape the kids in front of mommy and daddy. And say, mommy, will last for a long night of raping. And dared you to do something about it. The different methods they use to humiliate us and shame us. And to give, and to say, I'm sorry, we're going to make Juneteenth a holiday. That ain't going to cut it, Doc. Black folks out here in America, if you're jumping up and down and you got yourself, if you're going around looking like this, because the Democrats worked with Republicans and Joe Biden signed the bill into law, and you looking at Joe Biden like he's your great white hope. Just like Jesse Lee Peterson looking at Donald Trump as his great white hope. And the only true hope is the people. You can give us a holiday all you want. That is not going to make us happy. That's not going to make us celebrate. And if you happy and celebrating over this, what the hell is wrong with you? Well, you got to take whatever they get. At least they gave us something. At least they gave us something. Are you protected like you're the bald eagle? Are you nationally protected by law? Do you got qualified immunity? Man, if y'all don't wake up and stop being so-called victim, that's what the people try to prove in this race critical thinking, that it teaches black, it hurt black people because it make people victimized. No, we were victimized. You can't deny that fact. And there's still slight things that people do to continue on the sly, victimize us. Now some of us are waking up to see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You ain't slick. You ain't gonna do that here. And most of us are saying we're not being victims. We're taking control of our own destiny. We're not dependent on political party. We're not dependent on people. We're dependent on our community. Stick together as one. Stay on code to get things done. Because that's the only way it's going to get done. You have behind kissing political parties behind and kissing political party leaders behind, putting your hope in them, ain't going to do it. And they figure you so dumb and stupid that I could just give you a holiday and you guys going to be so satisfied. So satisfied. Immigrants come in here and they get way more than you ever got. And they didn't build this country. They contributed in the long term. But you got to remember what caused them to come here. It was the American dream. And who created this American dream? This hard work, sweat, and tears of free labor of black people. Folks, don't you ever forget this. This was something. They talk about the Holocausts that happened in Germany, and in many concentration camps, and in many people that was murdered in concentration camps for stupid reasons. Someone was put in the infirmaries. Someone was just shot and buried in mass graves. But they don't want to tell you that same freaking thing happened to black people here in this country. Someone was hung. Someone were burnt alive in the town square with mommy, daddy, and the kids like they had some kind of Epcot Center somewhere. And they got pictures to prove it. Hung on a tree, tarred and feathered, skinned alive. Blacks decided, okay, bad enough you got free labor off us. You promised to give us 40 acres and a mule. You didn't do that. We got to do whatever we can. Make something out of nothing. And as we make something out of nothing, and that something end up being beautiful, you get jealous and try to find any excuse to burn it down and take it. And excuses, they did. Right here. Those were excuses to destroy black people and prosperous black towns that black people decided that, hey, we don't need to live among you. We can acknowledge you, but we can build our own community. And you can come see us sometimes, and we're going to treat you fairly and equal. All we ask you to do the same. Oh, no, you don't want to do the same. So to keep you from being ashamed and feeling terrible and bad like people are with this critical race theory BS, you destroy what we built. Pull yourself by the bootstraps. I ain't got no boots or strap. But since you're not going to give me none, even though you owe me a whole bunch of them, I'll just find what little material I got and make me some boots. May not look as good as yours, but I'm going to do whatever I can to make it. Folks, Juneteenth has a chance to become a federal holiday with Joe Biden himself, the Democratic Great Black Hope, signing the bill. And they think you should be satisfied. This will shut them up about those reparations. This will shut them up about that qualified immunity and us trying to put pressure on the police department. This will shut them up about this. This will shut them up about that. This will shut them up about being upset because LGBTQ got policies done for them by Joe Biden in his first 100 days. And immigrant down there at the border, they got a little help from Joe Biden. This will shut them up. We got y'all a holiday. A federal holiday. And your great white hope, Joe Biden gave it to him. He's much, much better than that great white hope, Donald Trump. Don't you love him? Man, if you don't get out my doggone face with that crap. In closing, I'm not happy. I thank my sister for the fly shirt. But listen to me, media. Listen to me, Roland Martin. Listen to me, Ben Dixon, man. I saw Ben Dixon on. You went from having Progressive Army to Chink Huger. And now I see you up on Roland freaking Martin, one of the biggest marks, one of the biggest doggone blockers of black progress in the freaking world. He worse than a white supremacist like Tucker Carlson. Talk a good game and people buy that. You ain't gonna buy Tucker Carlson. We got black people buying Roland Martin. And the only reason why he wearing that African stuff is because he's trying to reinforce himself as part of the black grassroots movement. He's trying to assure black people that I'm down with y'all. I'm down with y'all. Yeah, they ran you behind out of Lisbon, North Carolina because they seen what you're doing. Folks, we ain't taking this stuff no more. We see what you're doing. and we're going to confront you about it. And you ain't going to shut us up. You might can shut me up, but you ain't going to shut a lot of people up about a whole lot of things. This is not a reward to us. We thank you for the holiday, but we're not going to sit back and say, yee, yay, yee-haw, we good now. No, until you rightfully give us what you owe us, we ain't going to stop talking about it. We ain't going to stop pushing it. But, man, you going to upset the apple cart. Well, upset the apple cart is going to be. Y'all was saying that when the Asians was asking for what they wanted, or anybody else, LGBTQ. You want go upset the apple cart. You gonna make these people mad? I don't give a crap about that. If they get mad, that shows their immaturity. Just like these people crying over critical race theory. I don't want people. Just because I don't agree with it, that don't make me a racist. Who said you was a racist? It's in your mind. Anyway, I just want to report that, hey, they're pushing strong to make Juneteenth a holiday. And don't you dare think that's going to make black people celebrate. And for those who celebrate because they got another freaking holiday they did probably get off and get paid or get paid time and a half. You can get all that stuff you want, but you better stay your butt on code and make sure you continue to press toward the real prize that we need. And that's total economic equality of white people. I'm Robert Brown with the Rob Report. I love you all. Good morning. And this ain't the Rob Report. This is the Bobby Brown Show. I'm losing it. Good morning. Good night. The prize is equality from the rooter to the tutor. What you got, we deserve to have the same thing. Not because we just did it together. It's because when we did decide to build our own, when you were telling us we should build our own, you were vicious enough to find any excuse to take that from us. We don't want just a holiday. We want reparations. And if you think we're going to stop talking about this and stop pushing it forward, you can take your Juneteenth holiday, turn that sideways, and stick it straight up your candy behind.